Ohayou gozaimasu! Welcome back. This is day 2 of our length topic, and today we're going to look at making things longer or shorter than a given object. Okay, for example, yesterday we looked at comparing objects to the length of a chopstick. Okay, we did in mime, where we said one chopstick is the same length as certain other objects. So we had cubes, we had pennies, we even had a Final Fantasy figure. But today we're going to look at making things shorter or longer than a given object. Okay, so once again we're going to use my chopstick. Okay, now the length of the chopstick is this long. Okay, can't tell you the exact centimeters, but we're going to use this as the given length. Okay, so if we want to make something shorter, it has to be smaller in length than this chopstick. So if the chopstick is this long, then shorter would mean it would have to be smaller, shorter than this chopstick. So we're going to use pennies to help us out. So I'm going to make my pennies the same length as my chopstick. Okay. Okay, and I'm not going to get rid of that now. Okay, you could use cubes for this, you could use sugar cubes for this, you could use pennies, you can use whatever you want at home, but I'm going to use pennies because it's something that I have readily available. So this is the length of my chopstick. So if I wanted to make something smaller, I'm going to use the pennies to make a smaller amount, okay, a shorter amount. So if I had my pennies, once again I'm going to make them the same length as the chopstick, and then we're going to shorten it up. Okay, so that's the same length as my chopstick. I want to be shorter. That's already shorter because it's not the same size any more than the chopstick. It's not the same length as, it is shorter than the chopstick. I could make it even more shorter by doing that again. Once again, it is not the same length as the chopstick. It is smaller, it is shorter. Okay, you can keep going with this then. This is now shorter than my chopstick. Okay, now there is a great example online for doing shorter and longer using Play-Doh. So if you do have Play-Doh at home, maybe you'd like to make yourself some caterpillars, okay, where you have one size of a caterpillar, then try making something shorter again, something shorter than that. Can you make it longer than your caterpillar? But we're just going to use coins today. Okay, could I keep going even more to make it shorter than my chopstick, or would that make it longer? It would definitely make it shorter. So I could keep going right down to my 1 penny. Okay, imagine that was a tiny little caterpillar. It's still shorter than my original caterpillar, my original chopstick. Okay, but what if I wanted to make one longer? Okay, so if I get back my chopstick, okay, so I now have my pennies the same length as my original chopstick. I now want to make it longer though. I don't want to make it shorter, I want to make it longer. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some more pennies, because if I wanted to make it bigger, I will need some extra pennies to add on to that. Okay, so I'm going to take an extra penny. Is this row now longer than my original chopstick row? Yes, it is. Okay, could I add more onto that to make it even longer? Yes, I could. Could I add more onto it to make it even longer? Yes, I could. What if I did this? Is my set of coins longer than my chopstick? No. Who can tell me what word we would use instead? My row of pennies is shorter than my chopstick, okay? And if I added them back on, my row of pennies is now longer than my chopstick, okay? Really wish I had some Play-Doh right now, but hey ho. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to order some rows of stuff, okay? So I'm going to take my cubes. I'll put them in, well, I'll make an A-B pattern actually. Okay, so I have 1 row of cubes, a second row of cubes, I'm going to have a really weird ABC, ABD pattern. Because I don't have the brown one. Okay, so when you have a look at these rows of cubes, who can tell me? So we'll call this one A. Sorry, it's a whiteboard pen. B and C. Okay. A for this one, B and C for this row. Can you see the A? Just about. Who can tell me which set of cubes is the longest? So which set of cubes is the longest? I'm going to give you 5 seconds. Okay, I would have a look at this, and you can use your knowledge of counting if you want to help with this one. If you don't, you would maybe use if you have a ruler at home, and have a look when you're measuring it up. I do have a ruler somewhere. There we go. Okay, so on a ruler, they have numbers written across the top. Okay, if I could zoom in for you. Okay, they have numbers written across the top with some lines that tell you how long. So for example, if my finger was here, it is 1 centimetre because it lines up with that first line. If it was 2 centimetres, it would line up with the second line. Okay, so maybe you would measure your cubes just to double check. So if I measured this along here, my cube lines up with the number 12. So this one here is 12 centimetres. Okay, but I'm just going to put 12. If I measured my second row, okay, so you put the beginning of your row on the 0, and then you measure up to where it matches up to, and it measures up to 8. And if I measure this one again, so you line it up, the beginning of your row on the 0, and then you see which line it goes up to on your cubes, and this is 6. So looking at those numbers, whichever one is the longest has the biggest number. Okay, so which one of my rows has the biggest number? Is it A, B or C? It is A, okay? It's got 12, it's worth 12 centimetres. This one's worth 8 and this one's worth 6. Okay, so this is my longest, but you might have looked at it and counted the cubes up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cubes. 1, 2, 3, 4 cubes and 1, 2, 3 cubes. This one's got the most amount of cubes, so therefore is the longest. Then, just to double check, I'm just going to wipe these off. We could put them in order. So I think this one's the longest. Closely followed by my 4. And then closely followed again by my 3. And you can see that the longest one pokes out the top. Then the next one pokes out a little bit further than this one. And if we wrote on our letters again, I'm going to change the letters now though, just to confuse you a little bit. Or have I? No, I haven't. A is longer than B, but B is longer than C. Okay? C is shorter than B, but B is shorter than A. So this is where we are going to use our vocabulary a little bit more, okay? So you could at home make 3 different size rows of either coins, of cubes. You might roll out some plasticine caterpillars, okay? And then I want you to put them in order. Which one's the longest and which one's the shortest, okay? And give them a name, either 1, 2, 3 or A, B, C. So if I call them 1, 2, 3 as well. Which way is 3? Is that right? Nope. Is that right? I think that's right. I am not sure. I can't read upside down. Okay, so this is what I would like you to do at home today. Okay, you've done your how to go at making things longer or shorter then, but we're now going to use those words to write some stem sentences as well. Okay, think about them. So A is longer than B. Is it longer than C? It is, because it goes further than C. Okay, so A, if you told me something about A, it would be A, or 1, is longer than 2, and 1 is longer than 3. Okay, so it's longer than both of them. Someone tell me something about number 2. Okay, so have a look at number 2. until I'm going to move. Should I move this? No, I'm going to leave it there. Okay, someone tell me about B or number 2. What is B longer than? What is number 2 longer than? So 2 is longer than 3. Which one is B shorter than or 2 shorter than? It is shorter than A. Okay, so I'm confusing me a little bit with the letters and the numbers. I'm just going to use the numbers, that might be easier. Okay, so 2 is longer than 3, but 2 is shorter than 1. Okay, so 2 is longer than 3, but shorter than 1. Okay, so someone tell me something about number 3 using the word shorter or longer than. Hopefully you've used the word shorter. So 3 is shorter than which one? It's shorter than 1 and 2. So number 3 is shorter than 1 and 2. Okay, so let's go back through then. I want you to shout these at the screen. Someone tell me something about number 1. Tell me about number 1. Okay, now tell me about something about number 2. That's the hard one because there's 2 things you could say about that. And finally, tell me something about number 3. Okay, right, let's review then. Number 1 is longer than 2 and 3. 2 is longer than 3, but shorter than 1. And 3 is shorter than 1 and 2. Okay, quite a lot there, okay, but it's getting you used to that vocabulary. Okay, you've done it so well with our weight and our capacity. Okay, so for weight you said this item is heavier than this item. Okay, for this one you're going to say this row is longer or shorter than this row. Okay, really well done. I know that's quite a lot, but today I want you guys to have a go at maybe writing or at least talking through using the words longer and shorter. Okay, really well done, really proud of you. Sugoi. Okay, and I will see you next time. Sayonara.